I'd like to start this video with a question for you. Do you read the Bible or do you study it? The answer to that question will reveal a lot about your personal journey with God. I'm not making any statements here about how much you should read your Bible or indeed how you should do that. That's down to your relationship with your Heavenly Father and what's right for you. However, I believe it's important that we know our Bibles in order to understand God and His ways better. That comes in handy whenever we do anything in His name, and particularly when we get into the spiritual gifts, and prophecy in particular. If you're interested in the Bible, you may have heard the terms exegesis and hermeneutics bandied about in church. What are they? Well, loosely, exegesis is how we examine and analyse the Bible text to understand its original meaning. Hermeneutics is how we interpret the Bible to understand its meaning in our own language and culture. We can't do one without the other. We automatically interpret what we see, hear or read according to our own personal backgrounds, the language we speak and the culture we grew up in. The scholar's use of exegesis and hermeneutics helps to counter that natural bias towards the here and now and helps to give us translations we can read easily, for which I'm immensely thankful. However, even teams of scholars have their own personal biases and we are naturally biased ourselves. That's why there's a difference between Bible reading and Bible study. I would encourage you to do both. I must admit that I've been lacking in the study side of things. I've always read the Bible, but have not really studied it in depth for a long time. Father recently challenged me on this, hence I've started digging into the Bible a bit more in recent weeks, and that's another reason why I've been making this free video course. I want to encourage myself to keep going, and I want to encourage you to do the same. To illustrate the usefulness of Bible study as opposed to reading, let's look at an example of one of the translation issues we talked about in an earlier video, the problem of no quotation marks in the original text of the Bible. I've been reading John's Gospel recently in my personal studies. As I progress, I've been comparing the English Standard Version, word for word, and the New International Version, a thought-for-thought translation, and I was struck by John the Baptist's statement when he was questioned by some Pharisees. In John 1 verse 23 in the NIV it says, John replied in the words of Isaiah the prophet, I am the voice of one calling in the wilderness, make straight the way for the Lord. The ESV has it like this, he said, I am the voice of one crying out in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord, as the prophet Isaiah said. This verse illustrates the translator's issue, where it's not clear where John the Baptist's speech begins and ends. Specifically, it's not completely clear how much is John the Baptist's own words, how much is quoting from Isaiah, and how much is John the Gospel writer's take on it. The ESV even has a footnote that suggests a third option. Consequently, did John say, I am the voice of one calling in the wilderness, make straight the way for the Lord? I am the voice of one crying out in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord, as the prophet Isaiah said? Or, I am the voice of one crying out, in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord, as the prophet Isaiah said? The answer is we don't actually know. However, while we can't be precise about the specific words, the thought remains the same. John the Baptist is saying that his work fulfills the prophecy of Isaiah and that he is clearing the way for someone even more important, the Lord Jesus himself. John, the Gospel writer, agrees with John the Baptist that this is true. We may disagree on the specific exegesis, the meaning of the text, but the ultimate interpretation, the thought, is the same. Interestingly, the message puts it like this, I'm thunder in the desert, make the road straight for God, I'm doing what the prophet Isaiah preached. This is a more dramatic interpretation, very direct, but it quickly gets the point across to a modern audience. Does this answer our previous question about which is the best translation of the Bible? Not quite, but it goes some way towards it by showing us that different translations have different uses. Join me next time when we'll hopefully get to the bottom of things. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe the video.